version of just opening up conversation to being real, raw, and hearing unbiased perspectives. Because even when I scroll, it's like, is this a trigger? That feels triggering. What does that mean? And that's what I wanted to talk about today, which even brings up why we're here. So before I do that, I want to take a minute to let Shannon introduce herself enough so you kind of get a vibe of who we are and then what we're doing here.
Hi, I'm Shannon Warner. Hannah and I met about 6 months ago now, but I feel like we've known each other for ages. In the little promo sneak peek when we were doing this, you joked, I think you accidentally said 2003. I thought you were
Mhm.
joking, but I was like, it feels like it. Like, I feel like I've known you since
23.
2003, right? It's okay. It's all good. But
Yeah.
I'm a Michigan-based mom of two, and I am the host of the Having a Mom Moment podcast. Hannah has been on my podcast, and she really brought it.
So
And
good.
I'm so attracted to her energy, but like what she delivers, like her content and her message is just top tier, top notch. And I'm just all about empowered motherhood. And I think this plays so well into the things that I'm passionate about. Although this, like food, diet, nutrition, like this isn't my arena. I'm pro all the things, but this is not my arena. So I'm happy to be in this space and share this space with you because I know that I can learn a thing or six from you, Hannah.
Ah, this is like the best. So the reason that I was so attracted to Shannon is because of her authenticity and just like that genuine, pure, clean energy that you get from her. And so, like she said, she has no health background, and that's what I love. So I created Healthy Table Talk as a dietitian, but I felt like I wanted it to be more conversation based, where we can actually, like, your frame of mind can challenge mine or question mine, and that's going to bring up bigger, deeper conversations. So, as you've seen, dietitian dishing up depth, that's because I want those bigger conversations. And as you've seen, potentially on social media, they're non existent. And what they are for me has brought up some triggers. So, me and Shannon are just going to be here bringing you some, in my opinion, professional perspectives. So, Shannon isn't maybe the professional in this case or topic, but she is so stinking smart and authentic that her like proposal and her engagement in this conversation is probably going to be exactly what you're thinking, and that's what we're doing here for you. So I want to share a little bit about what made me hit create on this channel. So, as a dietitian, I'm really passionate about helping people get unbiased perspectives on a health journey to help them create what works for them in their life. Because, no, we are not all given the same 24 hours in a day. But not only that, it's more so just to say, like, we don't have to live in a state of shame and guilt, and we don't have to be driven from shame and guilt to launch and thrive in our health journey. In reality, we are all on a health journey right now, whether you're engaged in it or not. Whether you participate or contribute to your health journey, it is your health journey. And so, therefore, understanding what it looks like to have a health journey that you love and that you can live out for consistency is actually your true best consistent health journey. And that creates the biggest change. So, when I look through, social media, I know that there are a lot of sales involved in health coaches. I see that, that's fine. And I know that people have had health journeys that they want to share and shout to the world. But what triggered me, and this is a really hard story to share because it could paint me out to be a bad person in a way, or like maybe somebody that is like insecure. I don't know. But what happened is I saw a testimonial for a health coach that doesn't actually have professional background in any way, but yet the credit was giving her to help people with medical diagnosis, which I guarantee whether she's a good person or a great health coach or whatnot, she has no experience in helping people with medical diagnosis and even diabetes. Even though you can say, hey, I can help you cut carbs, you don't maybe understand the depth of diabetes and how to actually help people prolong or prevent other diseases. And so they're so intertwined. So when you go to school for 10 years and when you learn the knowledge that's much deeper than counting calories or anything like that, it really kind of surfaces some interesting feelings when you see those level of testimonials for someone that sells a weight loss product. However, do I shame her for selling a weight loss product? No. When I saw that, it hit this trigger that really like burned me up, man. I was just like shaking and frustrated. And rather than holding it against the person that did the testimonial or the person that holds the health coach title, rather than just like sitting in that, I don't, because I actually love the people themselves. I took it back to me and I was like, why am I so triggered? Like, what does this mean? Because I haven't felt these feelings in a long time. Truthfully, I mean, of course, we all have marriages and stressful lives and everything, or, who knows, whatever is in our lives that's triggering us. But this level of a trigger took me to this space that I wasn't proud of. So when I dug into that, I realized that like I am not sharing my truths. I am not using my education to promote my professional perspectives to help people form sound decisions, right? So if you make informed decisions, you're going to be more confident. Well, I want you to hear my perspective to help you form an opinion at all. And so that was that was my little story of that. But as Shannon and I were talking, it made us realize like, dang, like if I didn't get that level of trigger, would I have created something like this? And so,
Mhm.
do you have a time in your life where you were just like so triggered that it just like set you into action?
It's so interesting because you and I talked about this the other day, but just this week, I have become like acutely aware of the triggers around me. And I'm like, oh, wow. And, maybe 18 months ago, it would just have sent me spiraling and angered and you just ruined my day, even depending where it came from. But now I'm like, huh, that's so interesting. What is that mirroring back to me? My mindset around triggers has totally changed because there's something in that behavior. Because the things that are going on that are triggering us, most of the time aren't even directed at us. It's things that we encounter in our day to day, especially with the onslaught of media. But there's a gift in those triggers. It is an opportunity to look at yourself and go, huh,
Mhm.
what is it in me that is so bothered by this right now? And I've had so many lessons lately in that. So I haven't recently taken action, but it's been a lot of introspection and learning, a lot of opportunities for
Mhm.
that.
You nailed it on the head when you just said like it can almost be a gift because I think someone who maybe spends too much time wanting to point fingers about that, like, I'm mad at you for saying this, or I don't agree with you for that. Like, that just holds a person back from personal growth. So, why I think it's so important is because I've been hiding my perspective because I was worried about upsetting people. And I am actually still worried about that because I don't like to do it. It makes me feel like I'm judging and I'm not, but it doesn't mean that I can't disagree with people's theories or stances. And so I can still disagree with people and hold respect for them. And so through me sharing my opinions a little more deeper on things that might actually trigger people, I encourage then you or whoever may be watching this to say, wait, why did that trigger me? What does this mean for me? And does it lead you into an action that ends up being a gift? And I
Mhm.
don't know, like, I feel like as I look at like what I pushed myself to do, meaning I always wanted to get on some level of platform to do this, but I was too scared. That trigger was enough to get me up on that platform, which is this channel. And therefore, if I say something that puts people in that state, rather than being like, Hannah, you're wrong, you did this, blah, 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 go for it. But like it's probably not going to change much. You might as well say, oh, what does that mean? Is this something about me that I'm insecure about? Or is it maybe a truth that I'm avoiding and I really have to face? Or, oh, this is something that takes me back to my childhood where I was really controlled or disciplined. There's so many aspects, and I don't care entirely like if it is something I say or it's something from people's past. I more so want to say, like, how can you use it to your advantage? Course,
Yes.
I'm not here to purposely upset someone, but just by being here, you and I both might just organically upset someone. And I've learned now to put less pressure on that because ultimately the upset is about them.
Right. Right. It takes a
Because I
lot to
learned that
even get to that
myself.
point. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a huge step. Just be like, that's actually not about me. And
Yeah.
again, you can disagree. That's fine. You also don't have to be ugly about it. Like you
Mhm.
still have respect for the person that triggered you to this point. And it's like, and I am not putting words in your mouth. I am making assumptions. So correct me if I'm wrong. But especially if it was one of these multi level marketing situations, a lot of these people are coming from a pure place. They're trying to start a business
Mhm.
to support their families or help
Mhm.
support their families, or they
Yeah.
believe in the product or
Yeah.
whatever. Their intentions may be pure, but the messaging is not sound. It is not science based. It is problematic for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, and that is a whole conversation that we should do an episode on because I actually hold no ill feelings towards MLMs. Like MLMs have a place to help people. However, so often that they are really bias based, meaning they are educated from the company themselves. And
Right.
so, therefore, that company's mission is to sell as many products as they can. So, the education they're going to give you are strategies to sell. And then here's education that further helps you sell our product. And that's fine. I get if people want to do that. The truth of the matter is, though, don't claim to know something you don't know anything about. Don't claim to help people that actually have medical diagnosis and then you say that your product can then cure that or change that. Those claims are a freaking problem. Like this
Mhm.
dysregulated social media life is putting people, in my opinion, like in actual danger because
Yeah.
of the people that don't understand. And usually those claims come from people that don't understand the depth of what they're saying.
Right.
Again, good intentions. But if you actually can tell me how the organs respond when you're diabetic and what actually is happening internally, metabolically, I'll be more open to listening. But most people can't. They understand, oh, carbs raise blood sugar. Well, there's so much more than that. And when you come
Mhm.
from a clinical background, you see how that affects people in the long run. And it can lead to kidney failure. It could lead to losing limbs. It could lead to heart failure. So it really is not just like managing blood sugars in the moment. It's much more of creating a lifestyle that is working with, and in some cases even reversing disease. But just the claim that their product can do that with disease is where I get passionate because I worked in a hospital with patients with disease. And when you see them and help them either just fight for their quality of life or just know that the lifestyle they're living is further contributing to disease, even though they thought they were doing something that was helping them.
Mm.
And that's just from misinformation.
We
And
talked about this off
misinformation is
camera.
not intentional.
Mhm.
I get
Right.
that.
I just think it's so important. We talked about this separately, but to consider the source. And if the source is trying to sell you a supplement or a weight loss product, or, that is something to look at. Like, who is this? What is their background? This is a major area when we're talking about your health and your diet and disease prevention. This is not something to take lightly. So consider the
Mhm.
source. And is the source trying to sell you a pack of pills or what have you?
Well, and they're so it's just people can be so strategic about it. So it's like, I'm going to open up this membership where I'm selling this, or I'm going to open up
Mhm.
this masterclass where I'm selling this. So it's like not clear of like what is actually happening. And then it's like people build off of their self-worth and their sales. And that's a common thing that we all have some level of like earning our worth probably. And that's where it's just like, oh, I got to get to this level in my business, or I got to get to this level in sales. And it's like eventually people get lost in the mix that like it's like it doesn't even really matter what they're doing anymore as long as they're like working their way up. And I have a history. I've been in MLMs. I've seen that and how it works. And I've seen the pressure to get results for people. And my other passion is relationship with food. And relationship with food is a very fragile, vulnerable thing that gets pushed around and pushed over so much. And that's why people can't create consistency. You're not the problem. Your weight's not the problem. It's that you are so far from creating consistency because of these things that put you in a cornered position. When you're in that cornered position, you have no way out other than doing what that is or not doing what that is. You feel a victim. When you feel a victim, it puts you in that victim mentality, and therefore your cravings and your relationship with food will like rule your life. It will just take over. and you will feel stuck without any way to go because you don't know what to change. And it's just like I yeah, like still struggle. I still feel like I have my filter on, which I want to because I do care about people. But I just want people to know that when you do these products, it's okay that you're playing around, but what Shannon and I are here for are the next level. Like, we're not here to help people figure out to do the products or not. We're here to help people realize how to live out nutrition for self love, self care, nutrition that nourishes the body because you have that level of space and capacity to live that life. And we don't care. We're not here shaming anybody. We don't care what you choose. But if this is a trigger to you, it's more so saying, like, oh, why is it triggering me? What does that mean for me? And maybe these people aren't my people. Or it's like, yes, I'm done. I've done that. I'm moving on. I'm moving up. Then you're going to love to hear what we're going to have to say. I still have a lot to say about, I know Ozempic is a big topic. I have opinions about that I'd love to bring you to form a decision. I know we can talk about keto, we can talk about lifestyle, we can talk about feeding the family, we can talk about relationship with food on a deeper level. I mean, we're going to listen to you and your feedback and what you want to hear about, but all to say, um, the more I do this, the more I might be able to give you more filter free version
We're gonna pull
as
it out of her. It's
as
gonna
I
come
ease
because
into
it's so
this.
good.
Yeah, I do struggle a little bit, but all to say, I have been misled. I mean, truthfully, I've had MLMs like, I could say almost fake a relationship with me to get in their team. I've had MLMs do a lot of mind games with me too. And
Mhm.
so it's like maybe not even to take their products, but to be on their team or whatever, which is in my like their strategy is just so strong that what happens is they kind of lose sight of like what's reality and who I am. Like they totally forgot that like literally my mission is to help people get off of those things and create a lifestyle they love. And so,
Mm, mhm. I think that could be a whole topic for conversation. And to say, I mean, no ill will to any of those people. I believe most of their intentions start very, very pure, but it is the system is problematic.
yeah, yeah. It's one time I heard someone talking about don't eat soy because of their isoflavin, but take this supplement because the soy in it is different than if you eat it in like a food version. Like it's
That's a
just
weird argument.
you can't help but to hear these things and like really say, I mean, they're theories. What happened is like when people want to sell something or when people have these nutrition theories, they just twist things so hard that you're almost like left to either choose to like believe it because it's so far fetched that you're like, wow. Or it's like this like um I guess, yeah, I've just been a little caught off guard by some of the things I've seen online and people just like feeding into it. And all it is someone twisting something to create a nutrition theory. Fun,
Right.
done. And then it's
Yeah.
followed, and that's what we do.
Because there are not people like you that they're butting up against who are going, wait a minute, like they're the
Yeah.
masses. And
Yes.
people like you, I don't know, you're the first person I've bumped into who's like, "I have a problem with this,"
Mm-hmm.
and that's actually speaking out about it. So I think it's so important. But this is so much bigger than that because your angle is unlike one that I've ever encountered where it's all tying back to your self-worth and how kind you're being to yourself and how do you feel about yourself because ultimately none of this matters if you don't love yourself enough to take care of yourself, right?
And that brings up my biggest issue with MLMs, and not even to bring it back to MLMs, but when you're like, Hannah, what's your problem? Like they're helping people with their health. Actually, most of them are putting people at a guilt and shame-based space.
Mm,
If they get results on these products, they can't maintain them because they either financially can't afford to keep up the products, or life, it doesn't fit into their lifestyle, is too strict, or they don't have the tools, or whatever it looks like, they don't continue them. Then those results go away or they gain back the weight. They haven't established a new mindset, and your mindset is what creates your habits. And therefore, they say, I failed subconsciously. Subconsciously kind of takes over, right? I failed. I knew I can do it. I'm not good enough. Now look where I am. Now I got to work harder. I have to restrict more. I have to over deprive even more to get results even faster or again, or whatever that looks like. And people are doing super extreme things to get certain level of results that maybe they one time got with these products that happened quickly because of aka malnutrition, essentially, like normalizing starvation. And therefore people are like, well, now to keep up with this I need to only eat this much. And it's like, wait, food is helping you prevent disease. It's like we've become scared of it now, so it's like a competition of
mm,
how little we can all live on to get to this point of like, there, I'm to this size and I look this way because society tells me I should. And then all of a sudden they're like, but this is really hard. I miss food. But also, when you need enough magnesium, when you need enough vitamin C, when you need enough calcium, when you need enough fiber, when you need enough all of these things, but you're only eating so much, of course you need to focus on protein. If I hear the word protein one more time. Of course, you need to worry about eating
mm,
protein because the small amount that you're eating in a day like needs to contain protein so you get enough of that for nourishment. But in reality, when you let go of that, you have a huge space to get all the vitamins and minerals you need, all the cancer preventive properties you can get, all the fiber, which again, true disease prevention lives in the fiber, but we can't because it's like, but now I've cornered myself into eating only this much food so I can maintain this weight and somehow
mm,
gain all this worthiness from everybody
mm,
else. And I
mm,
lived in that space. And that's why I'm fighting so hard to get out of that. So yes, it's a really fun feeling when you can realize your health journey isn't about your weight, it's about the feeling of freedom. It's about like, I am free from my
mm,
dieting mindset, from my self judgment, from disconnecting my weight from my worth. I'm free from that.
mm,
I'm confident in my food choices now because I'm
mm,
educated, I'm informed. I'm free from the feeling of misinformation and confusion and all of this mixed messaging. That freedom is just like so addicting that you create a health journey
mm,
that you love, that works for you, and that consistency saves your life, honestly. It's about
mm.
that. And if
Yeah.
we can let go of like, where's my weight loss? Where's my weight loss? And build this out because you feel wholesome and worthy and you crave that nourishment for nutrition, for self care, it kind of just falls into place for you. But without the proper education, you still feel like, well, what do I eat then? Because
Yeah.
she says a banana's bad and they say don't eat this and do that and all this. And it's like, where do
Mm,
you go? You go to someone who's not selling you something because then they have no skin in the game of what happens to you, right? Like selling
mm,
something is always giving you biased information towards getting them something. Either you buying their products or you getting them further in their careers or their businesses or getting them hooked, right? Of course, they want you long term. That's why diets work so well is you always have to go back.
mm, mm. And I want to add too, we're all running a program. We're all running off of a set of beliefs that we have chosen unconsciously, like as children, right? And we're just running this program until we butt up against something that challenges the programming and the beliefs that we hold. And Hannah and I are millennials. If you were a teenager in the late 90s, early 2000s, we were subject to some really horrible messages about our bodies, right? I dieted in high school. Looking back, I'm like, what were you doing? What?
Mhm,
But that's why some of these conversations can feel so hard. It's because
mhm,
you still have these beliefs, even if like right here, top of mind, you're like, no, 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 I don't believe that. Like there's a piece of you, there's a 14, 15, 16-year-old girl inside that still believes that if you look real thin that you're going to feel better and that you're going to look better and that people are going to like you, even if it's not here. That stuff runs deep. And until you
Mhm.
work on that and release it, it's
Yeah.
hard to move
Mhm.
through these arenas of health and nutrition and food and loving your body well outside of the numbers on the scale.
Okay, can we talk about some of the crazy things we did in the 90s?
Please, please.
Well, I
Yeah,
guess more so 2000. So
2000s. Yeah.
we're both, should we expose our ages? Whatever. We
Sure,
both
sure.
are nearing 40. And I
I'm
remember,
claiming his 30s as long as possible, Hannah.
okay, fine. We're in our upper 30s. And I remember in high school eating almost a whole sleeve of saltine crackers for breakfast because they were low fat. I snacked
Mm,
on licorice because it was low fat. Like,
yeah.
I was in the belief that, like, yeah, fat made you fat. And so I ate anything low fat. And I just remember, like, thinking, like, oh, I did good. This is a great choice.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it was, I don't know what brand it was at the time, Slim Fast. I did the
Oh,
Slim Fast shakes in the morning for breakfast, but I left them in my car because I was living with my dad. I didn't want my dad to know I was doing it. So I leave them in my car and then I would drink one on the way to school. But also I live in Michigan. So that means that half the time they were frozen and that was a whole thing. And then at one point, my friend and I started taking those diet pills that you could grab from like the checkout, like impulse
yeah.
area where the gum is, we grabbed diet
Yeah.
pills. Like, I
Yeah.
was never more than like 135 pounds in high school, and I
Hmm.
was taking diet pills. Like,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Extreme things for sure. I
Yeah,
remember.
right?
And truthfully, if you can think of what we did in the extremes we went, but now imagine if we were exposed to, in a young, immature mind, social media and seeing crazy claims about health and body shapes,
Yeah.
sizes. You were comparing yourself constantly to who was viral and how they looked. I mean, like, it's intimidating so much to know that, like, the level of brainwashing that's happening without even awareness.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. I feel like I can still remember all the magazines and like the covers with like I remember how thin Kirsten Dunst was, and I was like, where's the rest of her body? Like, oh my
Mhm.
gosh. And then somebody would gain weight and they were like, she's a cow. And you're like, what are you
Mm,
talking about? But now with the social media, it's like if somebody posts a video and they look like they've gained 3 pounds that day, someone's commenting on it immediately.
mhm,
It's like, what the
mhm.
heck? I do think a lot of Gen Z are more body positive. I feel
Mhm.
I see a lot of girls wearing things, trying to say this as politely as possible. I don't want it to come off as the wrong way, but like things that I would not have worn. And I'm like, good for you wearing that. You
Yeah,
look good. You look
yeah,
confident. Da, 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 da. I'm like, and I
mhm.
love that. I love to see that. Like, I'm not shaming them at all. Do you? You
No,
look great. But at the
yeah,
time, at my age, I would be like, oh my God, I could
I know.
never.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I actually hope that what becomes a fad is people being like, "Oh, I don't do social media. Oh, I
Mm,
don't do that much." I hope that, like, eventually people just grow into that because of, yeah. But for the most part, it's just to say that we spent, I think I speak for both of us when we say, like, what our history of dieting, like, tw 10, like, our best 10 years, 20 to
mm,
30s, disliking how we looked. I actually have
mm,
more memories of what I thought about my body image than I do about, like, having a good time in life. And when I
yeah.
look at pictures, I could tell you, like, what I was thinking about how I looked in that picture rather than, like, what the experience we were even having. And
Yeah.
that's the level of, like, the freedom I talk about. Like, that is no more. It has nothing
Yeah.
to do with my size from then or now or anything. It's like that is the freedom that takes your health journey into a place of, like, I don't even know, ease, joy, thriving.
Mm,
It takes
mm,
it takes it
yeah.
takes awareness though. That's always the first step for sure.
Right.
Awareness.
Right.
And
And
so those
for
triggers, back to the triggers.
Yeah, and for me as a mom, I know you're also a mom, my audience is moms. I'm thinking about all the mental load that we're already carrying. So like, can we set this down? Like, we don't need that
Mm.
going on in the background. Like, you don't need to hop
Oh,
on the scale and ruin your morning because it's not important,
yeah,
right? You look
for
great.
sure.
You
Yeah.
you got a shower this week. I love you. You look fabulous. Like,
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. You are yes. And truthfully, like people saying, I had a baby this amount of time ago and now I want to get, like for things, my body's not back yet and all of that. It's like, oh, the pressure you have to be a good mom, do the right things, keep humans alive, but then you're feeling shame about where your body is at.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
like so hard. And it's not their fault. It's like this is conditioning. This is society
Yeah.
screaming like, well, that's because you didn't do this to lose weight. Like, what?
Oh
It's
my
like the least
gosh.
you should be worrying about. But when you prioritize nutrition for self care out of a place of self love, like that all falls into place, and your weight literally isn't your health.
Right.
I've seen plenty of weight, all sizes, at different health statuses. Okay,
Mm,
Shannon, as much
I
as
love
I
this.
love chatting with you, and I feel like we're gonna get stuck on tangents, like every time we come to you with
Those are
one
the best
topic and then a
conversations.
tangent leads us, like I didn't expect to be talking about MLMs today, and here we are.
That's
All
okay.
to say, I hope you appreciate just a little more filter-free conversation. Feel free to message any questions or comment any questions. Feel free to share some feedback ideas of what you'd like to hear more about.
Mhm.
All to say, we just are both here for unbiased perspectives, meaning we don't advance in our careers if you take our advice or not, or if you do this or not. We just want to help more people. And it's taking us a lot of courage to get out on this platform and do this. So thanks for your
Yeah.
support.
Thanks for being here. We'll see you
See you
next
next
time.
Tuesday at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
Central Standard Time.
Or 3 p.m. Eastern for the rest of us.
So true. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.